The ketchup bottle slipped from Ainsley's hand when she heard the word tonight. She was 10 years old, clearing tables at her aunt's truck stop, and the two men in the corner booth were planning to kill someone. The Hell's Angel who ordered pecan pie every Wednesday at 7 would be their target. Ainsley looked at the clock. 6:47 p.m., 13 minutes. Before we start this story, tell me, where in the world are you watching from? We love seeing how far these stories travel. And if you enjoy our stories, please consider subscribing to our channel and don't forget to hit the hype button. The Dusty Rose truck stop sat at the edge of Barstow, California, where Interstate 15 cut through the Mojave Desert like a scar. Ainsley Burke had been living there for 6 months, ever since her Aunt Deb took her in after the accident. The accident, that's what everyone called it. Like her parents' deaths were some random misfortune instead of a drunk driver crossing the median at 80 miles an hour. Aunt Deb owned the truck stop, a sprawling operation with a diner, convenience store, and fuel pumps that served long-haul truckers and bikers traveling between Las Vegas and Los Angeles. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady work. Deb had given Ainsley simple jobs, refilling napkin dispensers, clearing tables, sweeping floors. Anything to keep her busy, to keep her from thinking too much. Wednesday evenings were Ainsley's favorite shift. The dinner rush was manageable, mostly regulars who knew their orders by heart. And every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, exactly 7 o'clock, a man named Rhett would walk through the door. He was a Hell's Angel, tall and weathered, with a gray beard and kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He always ordered pecan pie and black coffee, always sat at booth 3 by the window, and always left a $20 tip for whichever waitress served him. Tonight felt different. 2 men had been sitting in booth 7 for over an hour, nursing coffee that had gone cold. They didn't look like truckers or tourists. They wore plain jackets, no patches, no colors. One was bald with a scar running through his eyebrow. The other had slicked back hair and kept checking his phone. Ainsley had noticed them, because noticing was how she survived now. After losing her parents, she'd learned to read rooms, to sense danger before it arrived. These men radiated wrong. They spoke in low voices, leaning close across the table. Most customers came to the Dusty Rose to eat, rest, or kill time. These men came with purpose, thought. She was clearing the table next to them when she heard it. Tonight, the bald man said. 7 o'clock. He always shows up at 7, orders the same thing, sits in the same spot. His companion nodded. Brett's a creature of habit. That's what makes this easy. Ainsley's hands froze on a dirty plate. They were talking about Rhett, the Hell's Angel, who tipped well and called her Little Darlin' in a voice that reminded her of her father. We do it clean, the bald man continued. He sits down, orders his pie, and when he's comfortable, we walk over. 2 shots, center mass. Out the back door before anyone processes what happened. The slicked hair man frowned. There'll be witnesses. Doesn't matter. We'll be across the state line before the cops even arrive. The club won't know who hit him until it's too late. Ainsley's heart hammered against her ribs. She moved away slowly, carefully, trying not to draw attention. Her aunt was in the office doing paperwork. The cook, Vicente, was in the kitchen. The 2 waitresses, Brenda and Sal, were handling other tables. No one else had heard. No one else knew that in she glanced at the clock 11 minutes. Rhett would walk through that door and die. She could call the police. But what would she say? 2 men were talking about killing someone, and she'd overheard it while clearing tables. By the time cops arrived, it would be over. She could tell her aunt. But Deb would panic, might confront the men, might make things worse. Ainsley's mind raced through options, discarding each one as impossible or too slow. The door chimed. Her stomach dropped, but it was just a trucker heading for the restrooms. 7 minutes now. The two men in booth 7 were relaxed, confident. The bald one sipped his coffee. The other scrolled through his phone. They didn't look like killers, but Ainsley knew better. Killers looked like everyone else until the moment they didn't. Rhett would walk in at 7 o'clock exactly. He'd nod to Deb behind the counter, wave at Vicente through the kitchen window, and head straight to booth 3. He'd sit with his back to the wall. She'd noticed that, how he always positioned himself to see the whole room. He'd order pecan pie and black coffee from whichever waitress reached him first. And that's when the men would move. 2 shots, center mass. The bald man's words echoed in her head. 5 minutes. Ainsley's hands were shaking. She dropped a fork, and it clattered against the floor. The bald man glanced her way, but his eyes passed over her without interest. She was just a kid clearing tables. Invisible. That invisibility was her advantage. She bent to retrieve the fork, her mind crystallizing around a single thought. She had to warn Rhett, but how? If she approached him when he walked in, the two men would notice. If she said something loud enough for them to hear, they'd realize their plan was compromised. They might shoot anyway, might shoot everyone. 3 minutes. Ainsley grabbed a rag and spray bottle, pretending to wipe down tables. She moved closer to booth 3, Rhett's usual spot. Her heart hammered so hard she thought everyone could hear it. The door chimed. Ainsley's head snapped up. It was him. Rhett walked in exactly at 7 o'clock, just like always. He wore his leather vest with the Hell's Angels patch, jeans and boots that had seen 1,000 miles of highway. His gray beard was neatly trimmed, his expression peaceful. He didn't know he was walking into an execution. He nodded to Deb. "Evening, Deborah." "Hey, Rhett. Usual spot?" "You know me." Creature of habit. Rhett started toward booth 3. In booth 7, the two men straightened. The bald one's hand moved inside his jacket. Ainsley's body moved before her brain caught up. She stepped directly into Rhett's path, spray bottle in hand, eyes down. "Excuse me, sir," she said quietly. "Booth 3's got a spill. Just cleaning it up. Maybe sit somewhere else tonight?" Rhett paused, looking down at her. His eyes were sharp, taking in her trembling hands, her pale face. He'd been in enough dangerous situations to recognize fear when he saw it. "That right?" he said slowly. Ainsley didn't look up, but she nodded. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Don't talk. Just sit somewhere else, please." For a heartbeat, Rhett didn't move. Then he smiled, easy and casual. "No problem, darling. How about booth 5? Booth 5 was on the opposite side of the diner, away from booth 7. With a clear line to the exit, Rhett settled into booth 5 with the calm of a man who suspected nothing, or at least, that's what it looked like. Ainsley watched the two men in booth 7 exchange confused glances. The bald one leaned forward, whispering urgently. Their plan had depended on Rhett sitting in his predictable spot. Now he was across the room, positioned differently, alert in a way he hadn't been moments before Brenda approached Rhett with her order pad. "Evening, honey. Pecan pie and coffee?" "You know it," Rhett said, but his eyes never left the two men in booth 7. Ainsley moved away, wiping tables with mechanical motions. Her whole body was shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. She'd done it. She'd warned him. But what happened now? The two men were standing. The bald one threw cash on the table, too much cash, the kind you left when you wanted to leave quickly. They headed for the door, moving fast but not running. As they passed booth 5, the bald one's eyes locked with Rhett's for just a second. Something passed between them, a recognition, an understanding that the game had changed. Then they were gone, the door chiming behind them. The diner fell back into its normal rhythm. Truckers ate their meals. The jukebox played an old Merle Haggard song. Vicente shouted an order from the kitchen. Everything was normal, except for Ainsley's racing heart and Rhett's quiet, watchful stillness in booth 5. When Brenda brought his pie, Rhett caught her wrist gently. "Tell the little girl who warned me to come sit down for a minute." Brenda blinked. "Ainsley? She's supposed to be working." "Tell Deborah," I asked. Rhett's voice was kind but firm. "Please." Ainsley approached booth 5 on legs that felt like they might give out. Up close, she could see the lines around Rhett's eyes, the scars on his knuckles, the way he held himself like a man who'd seen violence and survived it. "Sit down, little darling," he said gently. She slid into the booth across from him, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "You want to tell me what just happened?" Rhett's voice was quiet, meant only for her. Ainsley glanced toward the door, half expecting the two men to come back. "Those two men in booth 7. I heard them talking. They were waiting for you. They said 7 o'clock, same booth, same order. They were going to—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Rhett's expression didn't change, but something hardened behind his eyes. "You heard them planning to kill me." It wasn't a question. Ainsley nodded. "They said 2 shots when you were comfortable. Then out the back door before anyone knew what happened." She looked up at him. "I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't just let them." "You did exactly right," Rhett interrupted. His voice was warm, solid. "You're a brave kid. What's your name?" "Ainsley Burke. I live here with my Aunt Deb. She owns this place." Rhett's eyes softened. "I remember you. You've been working here a few months now. Always quiet, always watching." He paused. "Those men, did you recognize them? Ever see them before?" Ainsley shook her head. "They don't look like regulars. They were just ... wrong. The way they sat, the way they talked. Like they were waiting for something." Rhett pulled out his phone and made a call, speaking low. "Bishop. Yeah, I need you to listen. 2 men just tried to set me up at the Dusty Rose. White male, bald, scar through the left eyebrow. Second male, dark hair slicked back, maybe 35. They left heading east on 15. He listened for a moment. "No, I'm fine. A kid warned me. I'll explain later. Just put the word out. I want to know who they are." He ended the call and looked at Ainsley. "You saved my life tonight. You understand that?" She nodded slowly. The weight of it was starting to settle over her shoulders. "Are they coming back?" "Not tonight. They know their plan failed. No, I'm alert now. But they might try again, or they might go after whoever warned me." Rhett's expression was serious. "That means you." Fear spiked through Ainsley's chest. "Me? You were smart enough to warn me without being obvious. But if those men start asking questions, start putting pieces together, they'll figure out it was you." He leaned forward. "I'm not trying to scare you, Ainsley. I'm trying to be honest. These men are professionals. They don't leave loose ends." Deb appeared at the table, her face tight with worry. "Rhett, what's going on? Brenda said you wanted to talk to Ainsley?" Rhett gestured for her to sit. "Your niece just prevented a murder. Those 2 men who left a few minutes ago came here to kill me. Ainsley overheard them and warned me." Deb's face went white. "What? Ainsley, is this true?" Ainsley nodded. Deb reached across the table and grabbed her hand. Oh my God, baby, you could have been hurt." "She wasn't," Rhett said firmly. "She was smart and brave. But now we've got a problem. If those men figure out she's the reason their plan failed, they might come back for her." Deb's grip on Ainsley's hand tightened. "What do we do?" Rhett looked around the diner, the exposed windows, The multiple entrances, the isolation of the truck stop on the edge of the desert. This place isn't safe. Not tonight. Maybe not for a while. I can't just close down, Deb protested. This is my livelihood. I'm not asking you to close. I'm asking you to let me protect your family. Rhett's voice was calm but absolute. I've got a compound 20 miles from here. It's secure, it's guarded, and nobody gets in without going through my brothers. You and Ainsley come stay there until we sort this out. Deb stared at him. Stay at a Hells Angels compound? Rhett, I've got a business to run, and Ainsley's got school. And Ainsley will be dead if the wrong people come looking, Rhett said bluntly. The words hung in the air like smoke. Deb's face crumpled. She looked at her niece, this 10-year-old girl she'd taken in out of obligation and grown to love. How long are we talking? Few days, maybe a week. Long enough for us to identify who sent those men and handle it. Rhett's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and nodded. Bishop just confirmed security footage from the gas station next door caught their vehicle. Silver Dodge Charger, Nevada plates. We're running them now. He looked back at Deb. Your choice. But make it fast. They might already be regrouping. 20 minutes later, Ainsley sat in the back of Rhett's pickup truck, a small duffel bag of clothes beside her. Deb had closed the diner early, citing a family emergency. Vicente and the waitresses had been sent home with full pay and instructions to stay away for a few days. The parking lot was empty now, except for Rhett's truck and 3 motorcycles that had arrived minutes ago back up. He'd called them. One of the riders approached the truck. He was younger than Rhett, maybe 40, with a shaved head and a neck tattoo of an eagle. This is Bishop, Rhett said, introducing him. My vice president. Bishop looked at Ainsley through the window. This the kid? Her name's Ainsley, Rhett said, and there was a warning in his voice. Bishop's expression softened. You did good tonight, Ainsley. Real good. Most adults wouldn't have had the guts to step up like that. Ainsley didn't know what to say, so she just nodded. The convoy pulled out of the Dusty Rose parking lot. Rhett's truck in the middle, 2 motorcycles in front, 1 behind. They drove through the darkness of the Mojave, the lights of Barstow fading behind them. Ainsley watched through the rear window, wondering if she'd ever feel safe there again. You okay back there? Rhett called. Yeah, Ainsley said, though her voice was small. Deb reached back and squeezed her knee. It's going to be okay, baby. Rhett's going to keep us safe. Ainsley wanted to believe her. But she'd heard the men in booth 7. She'd heard the coldness in their voices, the certainty. They'd planned to kill Rhett like it was just another item on a to-do list. What would they do to a 10-year-old girl who'd ruined their plan? The Hells Angels compound sat in the hills outside Barstow, hidden behind high walls and security gates that rolled open as they approached. Ainsley had expected something dark and threatening, like the clubhouses she'd seen in movies. Instead, she found a sprawling property with well-maintained buildings, outdoor seating areas, and even a playground that looked rarely used. We've got families here, Rhett explained as he led them inside. Brothers with wives, kids, grandkids. It's not what people think. He showed them to a guest house small but clean, with 2 bedrooms, a kitchenette, and windows that overlooked the desert. You'll stay here. Bathrooms stocked, fridge has basics. If you need anything, just ask. Deb looked around, her practical nature reasserting itself. This is nice. Really nice. We take care of our own, Rhett said. And right now, that includes you too. He looked at Ainsley. Get some sleep. Tomorrow might be a long day. After he left, Deb sat on the couch and pulled Ainsley close. You scared me tonight. When Rhett told me what happened, I couldn't breathe. I'm sorry, Ainsley whispered. Don't be sorry. You did the right thing. But God, Ainsley, what if those men had seen you? What if they'd realized what you were doing? I couldn't just let them kill him, Aunt Deb. He's always been nice to us. He tips good, and he talks to Vicente about his garden, and he remembers everyone's names. I couldn't just stand there and watch. Deb hugged her tighter. I know, baby. You're brave and good, and I'm so proud of you. But I'm also terrified. Ainsley didn't sleep well. She dreamed of the two men from Booth 7, their faces morphing into shadows with guns. She woke 3 times, heart pounding, before finally giving up around dawn. She found Deb already awake in the kitchenette, making coffee with supplies someone had left. Couldn't sleep either? Deb asked. Ainsley shook her head. They sat together in the quiet morning, watching the sun rise over the desert hills. It should have been peaceful, but all Ainsley could think about was how far she was from everything normal. A knock on the door made them both jump. Rhett stood outside with a paper bag and 2 cups. Figured you might need breakfast. Vicente sent his breakfast burrito, said Ainsley, likes the ones with extra cheese. The gesture was so normal, so kind, that Ainsley felt tears prick her eyes. She took the burrito and mumbled thanks. Rhett sat down at their small table. Got some news. The men from last night? We identified them. Private contractors out of Las Vegas, mostly hired muscle for various operations. Names are Kyle Brenner and Marcus Chun. Who hired them? Deb asked. Rhett's expression darkened. A club out of Riverside. The Scorpions. We've had territory disputes before, but this was an escalation. They wanted to take me out, throw us into chaos, and move in while we were disorganized. What happens now? Ainsley asked quietly. Rhett looked at her, and she saw something she hadn't expected. Respect. Now we negotiate. I've got a sit-down scheduled for this afternoon with their president. We're going to make it clear that hiring outside guns to hit a president is unacceptable. What if they don't care? Ainsley's voice was small. What if they try again? Rhett leaned back in his chair. Then we handle it. But I don't think it'll come to that. The Scorpions aren't stupid. They took a shot and missed. Now we know what they did, and other clubs know too. They're isolated. They'll back down. He paused. But that doesn't mean you're safe to go home yet. Not until we're certain. The next 3 days passed in a strange rhythm. Deb helped in the compound's kitchen, unable to sit idle. Ainsley explored the property under the watchful eyes of various club members. She met Bishop's wife, Carmen, who ran a bakery in town and brought fresh pastries every morning. She met a member named Axel, who showed her his motorcycle and explained how engines worked. She met children of other members, kids who lived normal lives despite their fathers wearing patches. On the 4th day, Rhett found her sitting alone near the playground. Can I join you? He asked. Ainsley nodded. They sat in companionable silence for a moment. The sit-down went well, Rhett said finally. The Scorpions are backing off. They've agreed to stay out of our territory, and they're cutting ties with Brenner and Chun. It's over. Relief flooded through Ainsley. We can go home? Soon, but I want to talk to you first. About what happens next. Rhett turned to face her. You saved my life, Ainsley. In my world, that creates a bond. A debt. I want you to understand that you'll always have my protection, my club's protection. Always. If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, you call me. He handed her a card with a phone number. But protection comes with responsibility. You can't tell anyone what you heard, what happened. You understand? Ainsley took the card, feeling its weight. I won't tell anyone. Good, because there are people out there who'd use that information against us. Against you. Rhett's voice was gentle but firm. You did an incredibly brave thing, But bravery has consequences. You're connected to us now, whether you meant to be or not. The thought should have scared her. Instead, Ainsley felt something else. Belonging. She'd spent 6 months feeling invisible, a burden her aunt had taken in out of duty. Now someone saw her. Someone valued what she'd done. What about the two men? She asked. Brenner and Chun? They left California. Last I heard, they were heading to Arizona. They won't be back. Rhett stood, brushing dust from his jeans. Your aunt's waiting. I'll drive you both back to the truck stop tomorrow morning. Life goes back to normal, but Ainsley knew it wouldn't. Normal had ended the moment she'd heard those men planning murder. Normal had ended when she'd whispered, "Don't talk," to a man who commanded respect and loyalty from dangerous people. That night, Ainsley lay in bed thinking about her parents. They'd been good people, her mom a teacher, her dad a construction worker. They'd taught her to help others, to stand up for what was right. Would they be proud of what she'd done? Or would they be horrified that their daughter had gotten involved with motorcycle clubs and hired killers? She wanted to believe they'd be proud. She needed to believe it. The next morning, Rhett drove them back to the dusty Rose. The parking lot looked the same as always, trucks refueling, the diner's neon sign buzzing. But Ainsley saw it differently now. She saw the vulnerable windows, the isolated location, the blind spots. Vicente greeted them at the door with relief and questions Deb deflected skillfully. Just a family thing. We're back now. The lunch rush kept everyone busy, and Ainsley fell into her familiar routine of clearing tables and refilling drinks. It felt surreal, like returning to a life that no longer fit quite right. Rhett stayed for his usual order, pecan pie and black coffee, but this time he sat at booth 5, the one he'd chosen that night. When Ainsley brought his coffee, he smiled. You settling back in okay? I think so, she said. It's weird being back. It'll get easier. Just remember what we talked about. He left his usual $20 tip, but tucked underneath was something else. A small silver medallion in the shape of a wolf's head. Ainsley picked it up, confused. It's not a patch, Rhett had said quietly before leaving. You're not a member, but it's a symbol. If anyone from any club sees that, they'll know you're under our protection. Keep it with you. Ainsley closed her fist around the medallion. It was warm from being in Rhett's pocket, solid and real. She slipped it into her own pocket and felt its weight settle there like a promise. The afternoon wore on. Truckers came and went. The sun tracked across the desert sky. Everything was normal, except nothing was. 2 weeks passed. Ainsley went back to school, endured lessons that felt trivial after what she'd experienced. She helped at the truck stop, cleared tables, did her homework at the counter, while Deb managed the books. Life resumed its rhythm, but Ainsley found herself watching people differently. She noticed the man at booth 2, who kept checking his phone nervously. She spotted the couple at booth 8, who didn't touch their food, their body language all wrong. She saw things other people missed. One evening, a truck driver with kind eyes and a wedding ring asked her, "You okay, kiddo? You seem jumpy." Ainsley forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just tired." But she wasn't fine. She carried the weight of secrets, the knowledge that she'd seen the worst of humanity and survived. She carried the medallion in her pocket every day, a reminder that she wasn't alone. That somewhere out there, dangerous men considered her worth protecting. Rhett still came every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. He still ordered pecan pie and black coffee. But now he always sat at booth 5, never booth 3. And when he left his tip, he'd catch Ainsley's eye and nod, a silent acknowledgement of what they shared. One Wednesday, a month after the incident, Rhett arrived with someone new, a woman in her 30s with short dark hair and a leather jacket. "Ainsley, "This is my daughter, Mackenzie," he introduced. "She teaches self-defense classes in town. I thought maybe you'd like to learn." Ainsley looked at Mackenzie, who smiled warmly. "My dad told me what you did. That took guts. I'd like to teach you how to protect yourself, if you're interested. Not because you'll need it, but because knowing you can handle yourself makes everything else easier." Deb, who'd been listening from behind the counter, nodded slowly. "I think that's a good idea." So Ainsley started training. Twice a week, Mackenzie picked her up and drove her to a gym where Ainsley learned how to fall without getting hurt, how to break someone's grip, how to use her size as an advantage instead of a weakness. She learned that being small meant being underestimated, and underestimation was its own kind of power. The training changed her. She walked with more confidence, spoke up more in class, stopped shrinking away from attention. Her teacher commented on it, pleased to see her coming out of her shell. Deb noticed too. "You're different," she said one night. "Stronger." "I feel stronger," Ainsley admitted. It was true. She'd faced something terrifying and survived. She'd made a choice that saved a life, and that choice had revealed something about herself. She was brave. Actually brave, not just pretending. 3 months after the incident, Bishop showed up at the truck stop during Ainsley's shift. He ordered coffee and waited until she brought it. "Rhett wanted me to tell you something," he said quietly. "Those 2 contractors, Brenner and Sean, got picked up in Phoenix. Turns out they had warrants in 3 states. They're looking at serious time." He stirred his coffee thoughtfully. "Their arrest means they're off the streets. Can't hurt anyone else." "Thought you'd want to know." Relief washed over Ainsley. She'd tried not to think about the 2 men, tried to believe Rhett when he said they were gone. But a part of her had always wondered if they'd come back, if they'd figure out who'd warned their target. "Thank you for telling me," she said. Bishop nodded. "You did good, kid. Real good." School let out for summer. Ainsley spent her days at the truck stop, working longer hours and saving money. She was 11 now, taller, her face losing its childish roundness. She'd been with Aunt Deb for over a year, and the sharp edges of grief had dulled into something manageable. She still missed her parents, still had moments where the loss hit her like a physical blow. But she was surviving. More than surviving, she was growing. One July afternoon, Rhett arrived at an unusual time, mid-morning instead of his usual Wednesday evening. He looked serious, his expression tight. Ainsley felt her stomach drop. "What's wrong?" Rhett glanced around the diner, making sure no one was within earshot. "The Scorpion's president got arrested last week. Federal charges. His second-in-command is trying to take over, but there's a power struggle. Things are unstable." He paused. "I don't think they'll come after us again, but I wanted you to be aware. Stay alert, okay?" Ainsley nodded, her hand instinctively moving to her pocket, where the wolf medallion lived. "Should we leave again?" "No, we've got eyes everywhere. If anything develops, I'll know immediately." Rhett's voice was reassuring. "But I promised to always be straight with you. So I'm telling you what's happening." He left without ordering anything. Ainsley watched him go, feeling the familiar weight of worry settle over her shoulders. Would it always be like this? Always waiting for the next threat? The next danger? That night, she asked Deb, "Does it ever get easier? Being scared?" Deb set down the invoice she'd been reviewing. "What do you mean?" "Knowing that bad things can happen. That people can just decide to hurt you for no reason. Does that fear ever go away?" Deb was quiet for a long moment. "No, baby. It doesn't. But you learn to live with it. You learn that fear doesn't mean you stop living. It means you live more carefully, more intentionally." She pulled Ainsley close. "You did something incredibly brave." That bravery didn't erase fear. It just proved you were stronger than it. Ainsley leaned into her aunt's embrace. I wish Mom and Dad were here. They'd know what to say. They'd say they're proud of you, Deb said firmly. They'd say you saved a man's life because you are paying attention, because you cared, because that's who they raised you to be. She kissed the top of Ainsley's head. And they'd be right. The power struggle Rhett had mentioned resolved itself within 2 weeks. The Scorpion's second in command was arrested on unrelated charges, and the club fractured. Some members patched over to other clubs. Others just walked away. The threat dissolved like smoke, but Ainsley noticed something else. The Hells Angels' presence at the truck stop had increased. There were always 1 or 2 members there now, stopping for coffee or meals. At first, Ainsley thought they were protecting her and Deb. Then she realized it was more than that. The Dusty Rose had become a recognized safe space, a neutral ground where brothers could stop without worry. Deb's business thrived. Bikers brought their friends, their families. They spent money, left generous tips, spread word that the truck stop was under protection. What had started as a crisis had transformed into opportunity. A year after the incident, Ainsley turned 12. Rhett and several club members showed up at the truck stop with a cake Carmen had baked, and they sang happy birthday while truckers and tourists watched in bemusement. Ainsley blew out the candles, embarrassed and touched. "Make a wish," Mackenzie said, grinning. Ainsley closed her eyes. She wished for safety, for her aunt, for the strange extended family she'd found herself part of. She wished her parents could see her now, could know she was okay. That evening, after the celebration wound down, Rhett pulled her aside. "I've got something for you." He handed her a small box. Inside was a leather bracelet with a silver clasp shaped like a wolf's head, more permanent than the medallion, meant to be worn. "You're 12 now, old enough to understand what this means. Your family, Ainsley. Not by blood, not by patch, but by choice. By action. You saved my life, and that bond doesn't break." Ainsley fastened the bracelet around her wrist. It fit perfectly. "Thank you. For everything. For protecting us. For teaching me I'm stronger than I thought." Rhett smiled, the lines around his eyes deepening. "You taught yourself that. I just gave you the space to figure it out." He stood to leave, then paused. "Your parents would be proud. I didn't know them, but I know what kind of person they raised. They'd be proud." After he left, Ainsley sat at booth 5, Rhett's booth now, and touched the bracelet. She thought about the terrified 10-year-old who'd overheard a murder plot and somehow found the courage to intervene. She thought about everything that had changed since then, the fear she'd learned to carry, the strength she'd discovered, the family she'd found in the most unexpected place. 2 years later, Ainsley was 14 and working at the truck stop most afternoons after school. She'd grown tall and lean, her dark hair usually pulled back in a practical ponytail. The bracelet never left her wrist. She'd taken over more responsibilities, managing inventory, training new staff, even handling difficult customers with a calm authority that impressed Deb. "You're going to run this place someday," Deb said one evening. Ainsley smiled. "Maybe, if I don't become a mechanic first." She'd been learning about motorcycles from Axel, spending weekends at the compound helping with repairs. Turns out she had a talent for it, an intuitive understanding of how engines worked. Rhett still came every Wednesday, still ordered pecan pie and black coffee, still sat at booth 5. But now their conversations were different, deeper, more philosophical. He talked to her like an equal, someone whose opinion mattered. She told him about school, about college plans, about the future she was building. "You ever regret it?" Rhett asked one evening. "Warning me?" Ainsley considered the question. Her life had changed completely that night. She'd lost innocence, gained knowledge about how dark the world could be. But she'd also gained family, purpose, strength. "No," she said finally. "I don't regret it. I'd do it again." Rhett nodded, satisfied. "Good, because what you did matters, Ainsley. You proved that one person, even a kid, can change everything. That's not something to regret. That's something to build on." He was right. Ainsley had built confidence, skills, relationships. She'd taken the worst night of her life and transformed it into foundation. The scared 10-year-old who'd whispered, "Don't talk," had become someone who spoke up, who took action, who refused to be invisible. And she was just getting started. The photograph sits on Ainsley's desk now, her at 16, standing between Rhett and Deb, the dusty rose visible behind them. She's smiling, confident, wearing the wolf bracelet. Sometimes courage is loud. Sometimes it's a whisper that changes everything. If this story moved you, subscribe to our family. We all protect what matters.